and thank you for watching This Is Now. We'll get to the latest on the Maui wildfire disaster in just a bit, but first we want to tell you about a fire in Windward Oahu.
Yeah, go ahead and take a look at these images right here. This is in the Ohui Manu area. Now, this fire was first reported just after 9 this morning. We're told it was a building fire along Lulani Street. Black smoke was seen rising from the structure, which is located behind heavy brush and vegetation. Official details are forthcoming. We've reached out to HFD for more, and so far we have not heard of any injuries.
Another headline today. Today marks the 1-year anniversary since the Safe and Sound Waikiki initiative was launched, and city leaders say they've seen a dramatic reduction in crime in the tourism hub. Now, the program aims to improve safety in Waikiki by targeting repeat offenders. At a joint press conference this morning, Mayor Rick Blangiardi, prosecuting attorney Steve Alm, HPD, and community leaders discussed the progress made through Safe and Sound.
We have a zero tolerance policy, so we're just at the beginning. I'm encouraged by the improvement in our first year. We're getting cooperation from the judiciary, as Steve said, but we're well aware, even though the statistics are down, that there are still statistics there that are not acceptable to us. So in that regard, better days ahead. So I'm hoping that a year from now, when we stand here, it'll be that much more so as we work to make Waikiki an absolutely safe place for everyone to be here and to visit.
Now, according to HPD's crime statistics, there has been a decrease in assault cases, burglary, criminal property damage, overall theft, and unauthorized entry into motor vehicles. However, the department said they have seen an increase in disorderly conduct cases by 37%, but they say that's because officers are arresting disorderly people and addressing now loud noise complaints. Now, city leaders say that a future goal of the program would be to address mental illness. And now to Maui, where residents continue their recovery. Our Casey Lund spoke to a woman who detailed her struggle getting assistance because her home was also her business.
Aloha from Lahaina. I was able to connect with Mayor Bisson yesterday afternoon. He said that we could learn as soon as today when those residents may be able to get back to their property. At least the timeline for that could be announced today, possibly tomorrow, by Daryl Oliveira, the new administrator for Maui County Emergency Management. I want to get right to somebody who is eager to get back to her property. That's Tana Swanson, who owned Maui Guest Home, the guest house, bed and breakfast. That was also your residence. Tell me a little bit about, have you been able to go back? I know that you were able to take some insurance documentations, but you haven't been able to go through what may still be there, correct?
That's correct. I was able to get in immediately after the fires because it wasn't being secured off. And get in and take some pictures and actually salvage one of my neighbor's cars for her. And then we were locked out ever since.
What has your interaction been with the county, the folks that are running things here, trying to get answers, trying to get any information about when you'll be able to go back?
Well, that's the big disconnect. There is no central place to go for that information. You talk to the Red Cross, they say one thing. You talk to FEMA, they say another thing. But no one has a definitive answer. So it's very hard to get the information to make decisions to move forward.
You say that you are fortunate to have people you can stay with, although you're couch surfing, as you told me, which isn't ideal for anybody. But you are one of the ones that has a roof over your head. But how long can you sustain that, and what do you need to try and get to something a little bit more permanent?
Well, I didn't want to be part of the problem. I knew a lot of people needed housing. And so when my friends offered to stay and they had internet access, that was the main thing for me, is to go where the internet was. Because I still had a business and bookings to cancel and things like that. But obviously, I have to put a roof over my head somewhere. And that's the information I don't have. The mayor is talking about not throwing anyone out on the street, and if we have to do this for 12 months, but we don't know what that really is or how to access that. So.
And I know that you, when we first spoke, this was a couple of weeks ago, said that you know, how am I paying a mortgage on a place that doesn't exist anymore? Have you been able to resolve that, or at least temporarily?
No. Well, like I said, the banks did give us a 3-month deferral to figure it out, but without the information, there's some problem with qualifying for the SBA loan, because it was my home, but it was also a business. So, you know, the red tape is unsurmountable. It's just...
Have you had any rest since this, or is your day, every day, pretty much filled with trying to deal with the next step?
I'm fortunate that because I was concentrating more on staff in the beginning and transitioning them out and getting them settled, that part is winding down. So the anxiety level has wound down. But now having to deal with myself, it's the reality kicking in. How are we going to do this? And we need the information.
And I know that you said that the emotions of all this kind of come and go, right? Yeah.
It's hard looking this morning, you know, under the morning sky. The beauty of the sky and the mountains and the backdrop, you know, that's Maui. And then you look down and see the devastation.
Tana Swanson with us. I appreciate you sharing your story. I think that other neighbors and community members need to hear what you're going through, and our leaders do as well. Again, the mayor will be meeting with the HUD deputy secretary later today. We'll be covering that as well. I do want to mention, and Tana did not ask that we share this, but there is a fundraiser for her business. She's telling me that there are people that are upset because their bookings are no longer valid. Of course, that structure doesn't stand, so she's trying to get back on her feet and deal with the business side of things as well. We have that online at hawaiinewsnow.com. Reporting in Lahaina, I'm Casey Lund. For now, we'll send things back over to Oahu.
A new lawsuit has been filed in the fatal Lahaina fire. In the complaint filed yesterday, the father of 57-year-old Rebecca Rands, who has been identified by Maui police as one of the confirmed fatalities, names Maui County and the state as co-defendants, and also alleges Hawaiian Electric and landowner Bishop Estate caused the blaze on August 8th that killed Rands and others. The lawsuit claims the risk to wildfires in Lahaina was known to the defendants and says Maui County officials were also not prepared for the event. We'll have much more on this story on later editions of Hawaii News Now.
We're tracking some new developments out of West Maui regarding education. Here are some of the latest stats from the DOE regarding those West Maui schools. Before the fire, there were 3,001 students enrolled in that area. Since then, 778 have re-enrolled in other schools. 874 have signed up for distance learning, and 129 are now enrolled in charter or independent schools. 12 students, however, have withdrawn. That still leaves about 1,200 students that the DOE is actively trying to contact. Meanwhile, in case you missed it yesterday, Governor Josh Green told Sunrise that he signed off on a plan to build a temporary school for students at King Kamehameha III Elementary, which was destroyed.
I'll let him come up with the details.
Okay.
The strong likelihood is we will use the Army Corps of Engineers like we're using them for the cleanup. We'll devote, looks like, about $25 million to have a temporary school near a formal long-term school location so that we can get that up quickly. The expectation is between 90 and 120 days we can get that school going.
We're expecting to learn more at a Board of Education meeting that's set for Thursday at 1 p.m. The DOE superintendent is set to give a report on the impact of the fires. And last week, public school officials held a meeting in West Maui. Tensions were high as they met with about 800 parents and teachers, and they shared their frustration. In a report prepared for this week's board meeting, the superintendent said his key takeaways were parents and students want school to start sooner than the mid-fall target date. Parents also want options on the west side for their families in the transition to school reopening. Parents are also concerned about busing students across the Pali. Some are not getting information that the department is sending out, and stakeholders want to provide input for planning.
Now back to the Maui fire zone, an act of heroism that may have saved an entire block of homes. As Sam Brock reports, it was all caught on video.
All right. I want you to record everything when we're leaving.
Right from those first heart-stopping moments, Jessica and Stephen Pickering knew their time was precious, leaving Lahaina with flames on their heels.
Oh my God.
And a wall of smoke in the rearview mirror.
We tried to get out of the neighborhood, but were blocked by cars.
Along the way, they spot a flash of fire in the bushes.
Oh my God, it's right there in the bushes.
What?
The fire!
Oh,
it's in the bushes!
Stephen leaps from the car to put out the flames, threatening a complete stranger's house.
Stephen, we're gonna get stuck! Come on!
Were you thinking at all, this is crazy and it could cost us our lives?
Yes.
But what did his actions actually end up doing?
I think that he saved that area of the neighborhood.
The Pickerings say they barely survived without emergency sirens or even a text to warn them.
I haven't personally heard of a single notification that anybody received in all of my social network, period.
Out of how many people do you think that you've talked to?
Hundreds.
Hundreds.
Maui County's response is under investigation, though officials have maintained that they warned residents through texts and police loudspeakers in neighborhoods, but they haven't specified where or when.
Always better safe than sorry. Lives and safety over structure anytime.
C. Ray Beltran spent more than 15 years with the Maui Emergency Management Agency as a senior safety official.
I would have said full evacuation.
In the morning?
In the morning, knowing the winds are this high. They're super high. Prepare for the worst and then hope for less.
The road to recovery looks long for Jessica and Stephen. One of their Maui diving shops went up in flames, along with about $1.5 million worth of inventory.
Having to say that we have nothing and hold your hand out and ask for help is really humbling and hard.
Still, there's a soulful silver lining across town in the Smith household, where Drew Smith recognized something familiar on social media.
I said, honey, come in here. Look at this. There's a guy saving a house. I said, oh my God, it's our neighborhood. And then we started looking. We're like, this is our house.
Smith says he's putting the Pickerings in his will. As for Stephen and Jessica, they have their lives and their love.
Oh my God, it's right there in the bushes.
And a whole bunch of neighbors ready to help them out if they ever need a hand. Sam Brock, NBC News, Lahaina.
And a warning for our next story. Some of the images may be hard to view. It's about the Maui Humane Society and their efforts to care for more than 20 animals that were burned in the fires. Our Mahealani Richardson has the story.
These are some of the helpless victims of the Lahaina wildfire. Roman ran off from his dog sitter and suffered severe burns. He was rescued by a Good Samaritan and reunited with his owner thanks to a microchip.
Yes, me too.
Here at the Maui Humane Society in Pu'unene, more than 20 burned animals are under constant care, needing daily bandage changes, pain medication, antibiotics, and fluids.
It is very difficult to see these animals in such tremendous pain.
This is little Mamaki, and someone turned her in 3 weeks after the Lahaina wildfire. You can see, oh, she has all of these bandages, and she's not very comfortable, but doctors give her a good prognosis, and they say that she's going to be okay after some loving care. I know. Oh, I know. Oh.
The majority of the animals that we are caring for right now are severe burn victims. Whether it's the ears of cats, the whiskers that have been completely singed, and unfortunately the paw pads of a lot of these animals have been either down to the bone or extremely raw.
He gets a hydro one from vet staff on days of his bandage changes just to help because he's a little extra painful.
Tiffany Davis is a foster vet tech. She's caring for Nigel, who came from Lahaina.
I love him. And just 2 days ago, he started trying to play ball a little bit, as best as he could. So he's feeling better, and he's getting more and more sassy every day.
The Maui Humane Society, along with a team of animal groups, have been escorted by the National Guard into the burn zone since last week, where they set up traps in hopes of finding more lost animals.
We want the community to know that we are here for them and that we are going to be doing everything that we can to reunite them with their pets, because we know that pets are a part of the ohana.
But you like this thing? Oh, sweetheart.
Another animal patient in the clinic is named Ho'omo, in Hawaiian, to carry on. Despite the heartbreaking loss of Lahaina, it's about perseverance for these animals and the people who cherish them.
And this is a long road of recovery, and we're in this for the long haul.
Reporting from Pu'unene in central Maui, Mahealani Richardson, Hawaii News Now.
Thank you, Mahea, for sharing the good work the people at the Maui Humane Society are doing over there to care for those animals. Let's take a live look outside now. Las Vegas, Nevada, where the temperature is 91 degrees on this Aloha Tuesday. There in Nevada, you can see the strip with no clouds in the sky, lots of sunshine. We're going to have your first alert forecast with Guy Hagi coming up after a quick break.
Aloha and welcome back. Well, earlier this morning, there were some major travel delays for passengers of United Airlines. The world's third largest airline issued an hour-long ground stop Tuesday. The FAA issued the alert that United Airlines delayed their flights nationwide due to, quote, an equipment outage. Fortunately for thousands of air travelers, the ground stop was lifted just about an hour later. The latest numbers from the tracking site FlightAware shows that United has delayed hundreds of flights and canceled 14 as a result. Flights that were already airborne continued to their final destinations as planned. A United spokesperson says a technology issue was to blame, and they're working on returning operations to normal as quickly as possible. And now for a look at our island weather, let's send things over to Guy Hoggy.
How's it on this Tuesday? We're expecting light variable winds for the remainder of the work week. That means it's going to be hot, humid with some afternoon clouds and afternoon showers. Not a lot of rain expected, although this disturbance right here could bring some rainfall to Hawaii Island tomorrow and again on Thursday. So heads up if you live on the Big Island. Could be a little bit wet at times. Now we're also tracking a new tropical storm far away, almost 3,000 miles away. It could become a major hurricane, but at this point, long range forecasts say it will not present a severe weather threat, although we got to keep an eye on it because it's that's not a definite. So we've got fairly dry conditions this morning, and again we're watching that disturbance down to the south, expected to bring some rain to Hawaii Island by tomorrow and again on Thursday. And with those light winds, we'll see morning sunshine, afternoon clouds, high humidity levels, and perhaps a few afternoon showers. But if those showers pop up, they'll be pretty spotty in nature. High temperature today running to about 90 degrees, but it's going to feel warmer because of the high humidity levels brought on by those light winds. And again, we could see some afternoon clouds and a few afternoon showers, although those kinds of showers are never widespread. And heads up, we could see an advisory level swell picking up on the south shore through the day today. High surf advisories might have to be posted. It's going to catch down on the west side as well, and the east side is finally dropping at 1 to 3. So we've got a long run of light winds, and we're expecting lots of sunshine, although remember, the Big Island could get some meaningful rainfall tomorrow and Thursday. Other than that, the only chance for rain, some spotty afternoon showers, and that weather pattern will continue through Friday. Trade winds return on Saturday.
A new storm has formed in the eastern Pacific Ocean, Tropical Depression 11E, and it's expected to strengthen to major hurricane status by Friday afternoon. And once it strengthens to tropical storm status, it will be given the name Hova. As of the 4 p.m. update from the National Hurricane Center, the storm is moving westward into a favorable environment for strengthening. Slow strengthening is expected at first, but warm ocean waters, low wind shear, and deep tropical moisture will all make rapid intensification possible on Tuesday and beyond. This storm will not impact Hawaii, however. It's going to move northwestward over much colder waters, and it'll eventually fall apart. It will cause a slight deviation in the trade wind pattern and increase wind speeds just a little bit, but impacts will be minimal. We'll also see a slight surf boost by the time we get to next week. And I know what you're thinking. We've been tracking a lot of hurricanes recently, and the reason for that is El Nino. We're expecting an above average season for tropical activity here in the central Pacific, and the warm waters in the eastern Pacific provide a breeding ground for those tropical storms to form and eventually transition over near Hawaii. Even though this storm won't cause large impacts here in Hawaii, it just serves as a friendly reminder to be prepared for hurricane season. Have your hurricane kit ready. Make sure to discuss a plan with your family. And as always, download the Hawaii News Now First Alert Weather app to get the most up-to-date forecast. We'll let you know how this storm evolves.
Well, the mass exodus continues from Nevada's Burning Man Festival. Thousands of people were stranded in mud in the Black Rock Desert. Elise Preston has the latest.
It was a climatic end to a chaotic weekend as fireworks lit up the sky with the burning of the man to close out the festival. But the road leading out of the remote Nevada desert is a daunting scene. Tens of thousands of revelers sitting in a miles-long line of vehicles attempting to leave the Burning Man Festival. Nearly an inch of rain doused the site over the weekend, sinking vehicles and encampments into thick, impassable mud.
It could take 12 hours to get out of this campsite traffic. Organizers are asking people to stagger their departures to help relieve some of this traffic jam.
I think the worst part for me is I wish all these folks weren't here for that rain.
Blair Barklow has been attending for a decade.
What has this experience been like in comparison to all of the others?
Well, I was here in 2014 when we had the lightning storm and it got wet. This was a bit different. People maybe weren't as prepared as they thought they'd be. No one said mud and cold.
Each step adds 15 or 20 pounds.
That sentiment is shared by Rob Levitsky, a 20-year festival veteran who waited in line for 4 hours to leave.
I don't know what they knew about the weather, the front that was coming, because they weren't putting out any word.
The rain forced many to wrap their shoes in plastic or lose them completely to trudge through ankle-deep mud. Porta potties quickly became unusable. Vehicle traffic was banned and exiting the site nearly impossible. Attendees were encouraged to ration supplies. But the muddy mess did little to damper the spirits of some first-time burners.
Nobody was expecting this weather, but it was still really fun.
Meanwhile, we are learning the identity of the participant who died in the chaos. That is 32-year-old Leon Reese. The cause of his death is still under investigation, but investigators previously said it did not appear to be weather-related.
Elise Preston, CBS News, Black Rock City, Nevada.
Former Hawaii student Shan Benson was among those trapped in the flood. The graduate of St. Joseph's in Hilo was supposed to leave Sunday, but tells us her vehicle would have gotten stuck in the mud.
We checked the weather and there was nothing forecasted for a storm like that. So just within 2 days, the weather has changed drastically. By Saturday, we're like, we just want to get out of here. But we couldn't, right? Everyone was sheltering in place. There are some people that abandoned their stuff or left their stuff with other campmates. They ended up walking 6-7 miles to the highway and hitchhiked out.
Benson says she and her friends got out yesterday after the sun dried up the mud. She says it was scary, but she might still return someday.
There are now new eligibility requirements for food stamps. Because of modifications made by Congress to the SNAP program, more low-income Americans will be required to work in order to receive food stamps. Able-bodied adults up to 50 years old who don't have kids will now have to show proof that they are working at least 80 hours a month or that they are enrolled in an education or training program to receive SNAP. In October, that age requirement increases to 52 years old. Homeless people, veterans, and adults up to 24 years old who aged out of the foster care are exempt from the new mandates. According to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, about 750,000 adults could lose their benefits. Congress sees the new work requirements as a twofer, reducing government spending and bolstering the nation's labor force.
All right, thank you for watching. Here's another live look outside as we say goodbye on this Tuesday over Honolulu. You can see Diamond Head off there in the distance. Of course, we're going to have much more news coming up on your later editions of Hawaii News Now, starting first at 4 on KHNL. Aloha.
Yep, enjoy your work week, everyone, after your Labor Day holiday.